As marijuana moves into the mainstream, more filmmakers are taking a look at all aspects of cannabis culture. These days, marijuana movies are about more than hiding from Sergeant Stadenko or trying to get to White Castle for the munchies. Join with us as we explore the latest in the Cannabis Cinema. Welcome back, everybody. Half Past, and I'm really excited about this new movie we're talking about today, The Culture High. It comes out this Friday, and joining me on the telephone, we got one of the producers. It's Adam Scorgie on the phone, I believe. Adam, are you there?
I'm there. How are we doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I got to tell you, I watched this documentary last night. I always like to watch them right before the interview, so everything's fresh in my mind. And I got to say, was there anything you left out, man? Everything's in this movie.
Well, we tried to, whenever you're doing a feature, you're trying to make something that's ultimately timeless, right? That can sit for years. So, and we had to make it better than the Union. We had high expectations. So, it's awesome to hear you say that, because if it doesn't show on screen, we truly put our heart and souls into making something that, you can enjoy, that's entertaining, but also a lot to learn from it, and a film of importance.
When I was talking about this and tweeting about this, I said, this is the best doc I've seen, war on marijuana documentary I've seen, and I've seen them all. And somebody came back to me and said, what about the Union, man? That was the best one. I said, these are the guys that made the Union, and they've topped themselves.
Well, I guess you're in great company if that's the thing. If people are trying to compare us with our old work to the new one, that's I guess that's all we dreamed for when we went into this. We tried to make something that could live up to the expectations of the Union, and I know for me, in the director's point of view, we are really happy with it. And after seeing audiences' responses, I think we were able to accomplish that. And it was really important for us because we'd seen so many others in the doc world and feature world where, the follow-up film is usually a cash grab piece of crap, not to diss any other filmmakers out there, but a lot of the times, which it wasn't for us, right? Ours was, we wanted to make a point that doing this next one, the follow-up, The Culture High, that it was something special, just like the Union, if not better.
All right. When we get before I get too deep into this, make sure I get all the plugs out here that we need to. If people want to see this on Friday, it's video on demand as well, or in theaters as well. I mean, what's the release on this?
Yes,
how can people see it?
Yeah, it's actually a really interesting release for this, because we're finishing our 1 week in LA, which is still running right now at Lamal's Royal Theater, and it just did a week in New York at the IFC Film Center. And then we're doing Tug, which a lot of people aren't familiar with Tug, but if you want to bring the film to your local cinema, all you have to do is you go on a Tug, you put in your zip code, you pick the surrounding theaters by you, Tug will book the theater for you, and then they'll say, okay, in order for it to come, you need to hit this ticket threshold of 70 to 100 or 50 tickets. If you don't hit the ticket threshold, nothing happens. Nobody gets charged, and the event simply doesn't happen. If you do hit the ticket threshold, so essentially invite your friends, family, and local community, then the theater will get brought to your local theater, and you'll get 5% of the ticket sales for doing so, and you get to watch the film the way it was really meant to be seen on the big screen with the 5.1 digital sound that we got done. And so it's a cool way, because as filmmakers, our best place, or the thing we like to see the most, is our work with an audience, because that's where it was really created for. So you see the humor, you see the people laughing at the parts that are funny, you see the people crying at the tender moments, and you see people getting upset when they hear some of the facts. And this gives everyone kind of that opportunity to be the filmmaker for the day. They get to host an event, or if they have a local drug policy organization they work for, or even their own podcast or radio show, they can then donate that money to their organization. They can add a fundraiser thing, at that 5%. It's a nice way to give back and get the film out there in a big way to theaters all across North America.
Where's the website people go to make that happen?
You can either go to theculturehigh.com, or you can go to tug.com, which is TUGG.com. Go in today, and like I said, worst things worst. Go in and put one and try to get it to your local theater. If nothing happens, if you can't hit the ticket threshold, nothing happens. Just the event doesn't happen, and unfortunately it doesn't come to your account. But if it does happen, what a great way to watch the film with. And then especially if you want to get some people in there that you really want to learn this information. When they see it with a full audience and the audience is reacting, I can't tell you, after touring all over the world with it, to see how it affects people so much differently when they see it on the big screen. Even people that didn't catch certain nuances when they watch it on their computer, when they watch it on the big screen, they're like, oh man, I missed that. I didn't get that that was meant to be funny, or I didn't get that that was meant to be that, important. I catch it now.
Yeah.
Because we really, as you can contest from watching, I mean, our cinematography and everything was created for the big screen. I mean, we went and spent huge money on the sound, so it's 5.1 surround sound this time. Like, it was made to be viewed in that space, if you can get the space.
Yeah, Adam Scorgie with the Culture High. We're talking about this Friday, October 17th premiere on video on demand and on theaters. Go to tugg.com, tugg.com to get one at a theater near you. I'm going to do that with 420 Radio and see if we can't make a benefit for our Measure 91 legalization out of it.
That'd be awesome, and that's what I encourage. Is like, as you know, the information is always the key, right? And getting people to have information is always the strongest resource they can have. And if there's a way that we can get the film out, educate communities, and raise money for all these local, drug policy awareness groups, that's a win for everybody. I'm not asking you to just promote the film. I'm asking it to be a win for all of us, right? Yeah. You get superior content to educate the audience with, raise money for your local foundation, and the film gets seen. Like, that's why when we were approached by Tugg, I was like, this is perfect. This way I'm not asking people like, hey, promote our film, hey, promote our film. I'm saying educate people with our film and put money in your pocket. Everybody wins.
Yeah.
Which is another reason why we're going also on October 17th. And I hate to just sound like I'm throwing all the release stuff out there, but we also took a very unique strategy. I mean, we pre-sold North America, so we're working with Phase 4, who's bought out by Entertainment One. So we have traditional release in North America. But we didn't want to make the rest of the world wait. What traditionally happens, right, is that they don't get a release and they have to pyrite it and they get a shitty version. So on October 17th, it's going to be available worldwide on Vimeo's new platform, Vimeo On Demand, which I think for a fair price too, where everywhere in the world, if you have an internet connection, you can now get the film. No more waiting 2 years to possibly get it, or it comes out on DVD. On October 17th, the whole world, they go to Vimeo, they go to our websites, they will find the film and they can get it.
Awesome. Awesome news. And folks, everybody you want to hear on this issue is in this, and every aspect is covered. I thought in the middle you got a segment, an act, I guess we would call it, where you just cover the media, and it's not really even about weed or the drug war, but just how can something so blatantly false be pulled over on the American people? There's your answer.
No, and thank you. The media part was one of the parts that our director, Brett Harvey, that was one of the reasons why he wanted to do this film, is that he's like, I think that's how I can make it different, right? And like you said, it's not really about marijuana, but it really helps you to understand why this argument has been so polarized for so long. And it's because the media takes sides and they get you to buy into this, my team versus your team, red team versus blue team. I have to defend my badge of identity no matter how much evidence is put in front of my way, because that's the way I was brought up, and that's the news station I watch, and that's the part that, when people have come out of the theater, they've been like, man, like you have my mind smoking right now, right? And at how we went into that, and it was, it's awesome to see that reaction, that it's, you connected with it, and so many people in the audience seem to be connecting with that part, because it's something Brett fought very hard for.
Good.
And it's like, that's how we make this film different than the rest.
I mean, that's why I do what I do every day, is because I feel like, the truth is not getting out there in the mainstream cycle. So we've got to do it on our own. We're speaking with Adam Scorgie from the Culture High. And folks, not only does this movie star big names, you got Wiz Khalifa and Snoop Dogg and Sir Richard Branson, Joe Rogan's in this thing. We've got Be Real is in this. I mean, some big names people will recognize. But if you're also a fan of this show and the drug reform movement, you get people in here like Bianca Barnhill and Dr. Donald Tashkin, Dr. Lester Grinspoon, Stephen Downing from LEAP. Todd McCormick was heavily involved with this. I mean, what was it like to get so many people from disparate realms to be a part of this movie?
It was, it was a challenge, but I mean, after doing The Union, a lot of people opened their doors, right? It's kind of like that guy said, God bless the guy that was like, hey, your caller, like, what about The Union? It was easy because people had recognized, even if they hadn't seen The Union, they'd heard about it, or if you Googled it and they saw that it was really well received, people were like, okay, I will jump on board for something like that. And, we wanted to make a nice mix of that, as we also understand the game as filmmakers. that in order to hit that mainstream audience, you had to get some of those mainstream names, right? Even if they're not the most politically active or, have years of knowledge like a Dr. Lester Grinspoon or something, they're going to help you in the movie game, which is a business first, okay? And in the business world of movies, what's going to sell your movie and what's going to get a big advertisement and reviews and placement and all the stuff that we've received is those big names. Right, so it was awesome to get all of them, like, for that, because it really helps the movie reach a widespread audience. But then also you get cool perspectives that you weren't expecting. Like, Snoop Dogg is really funny in the movie. He has a nice, comedic bit, and something that's another risk that director Brett Harvey takes, because a lot of people think when it comes to a drug war film that the entire feeling throughout the film should just be like depressing information, get you upset. And we think totally the opposite. The only way for, those really emotional moments to really pull your heartstrings is if you have some uplifting bits in there too. You have to have that emotional roller coaster in order for the facts to penetrate. Yeah. If you don't have that, if it's just, I use Inconvenient Truth as a good example. Although it won the Oscar and heavily acclaimed documentary, it's tough to sit through that film twice.
Right.
Right? It is just so boom, and halfway through you're okay, the world sucks, we're dying, just no more, no more.
Yeah.
You need to be able to go through, a good movie has arcs, it has ups and downs.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately where we're always trying to make is a great movie. So I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but seeing it, after just going to Iceland and the UK and all this and seeing how they respond to different people we interview differently, really, I just give more kudos to Brett Harvey and how he nailed it. He had people in Iceland howling where their first language is not English, and we didn't have it subtitled, although most people in Iceland can speak English. And in the UK, where they have a very different sense of humor, and they were howling in the theater too. And then in both places, people were bawling when they saw the Jason David in the medical section, right? And, what young children are going through. So it was awesome to get, to sit down with all these people and hear their perspectives and learn from, some really, really heavily accredited, researchers and doctors and people that have really been, arguing drug policy for a long time, but then also sitting down with the Sir Richard Bransons of the world and the Snoop Dogs and hearing their perspective and what they learned. It was, it's something you can, you can't always put monetize the value of something. And I know the journey for us of making The Culture High is something that probably 20 years down the road, it'll really kick in with what we accomplished.
Yeah, it's an amazing film, The Culture High. Check out theculturehigh.com. Adam Scorgie, thanks for joining us here on the Russ Belville Show. We really appreciate